Hello and welcome back to the Draw Pod. It's me, your host, Elyse. In this episode, I'll be chatting while working on a drawing/painting of some plants from my grandma's house. It actually turns out looking very different than how it looks in the current video. But if you're new here, this is a visual podcast where I draw something and chat with you as I go. You don't really have to watch the video to know what's going on, and if you prefer to listen to it on a podcast app, it's available everywhere. If you want to watch the YouTube video, check out my channel, which is linked in the description of the podcast. And if you want to see the very different, but I think still pretty cool, final image, check out my art Instagram, which is at Elyse_draws. So, happy 30th episode. Yay. Very excited about this. I'm very proud that I've made so many episodes. And I'm trying to figure out if I should take next week off and kind of like end season 1 here and then just do 30 episodes per season. Not sure. Stay tuned. I'll probably still make an episode for next week. But yeah, good milestone for me to reach. In this podcast, I'm going to just reflect on what I've learned this year from art, talk about my art goals for 2021, and just share what artists and art-related things that are on my mind. But first, the usual segments, which are a life update, something new I learned, and a book update. So as for my life update, I've been talking about an interview that I've had coming up, and I had that interview it's nearly been a week ago, and it went really well to me. I hope they liked me, but no matter what, I enjoyed chatting with them and gaining experience with interviews. I feel like maybe there were some hiccups here and there. I mean, it's just hard to really know what interviewers are looking for, what they're paying attention to. So I tried to, not be so in my head about that, but overall, really glad I had that experience. Also, in a previous interview, this is what I was going to say. They mentioned that they checked out my YouTube channel, which means a lot to me. In a previous interview that I had with another organization, they kind of like laughed at my channel. And I don't even think they checked it out. They were just like, oh, the YouTube channel, something like that. Anyway, that didn't make me feel too great. So, I mean, I guess everyone should, be welcoming and, interested in the projects you work on and the content you create, or not interested in it, but respectful of it and acknowledging that it's part of your passions. And so that really was important to me to hear them say to me. So anyway, hoping for the best. I will keep you guys posted in the future. But yeah, this week I finally am chilling out and focusing on art. I wouldn't say that I'm stressed. I do have a lot on my plate, but what's on my plate are so many pet portraits to do, which I can just thank two of the people that I've done paintings for in the past few weeks have either commissioned me to do more or have connected me with other people. And 2 nights ago, I had 3 more added to my to-do list. So I have 4 today that I'm going to try and get to, and hopefully that'll knock out everything for the time being. But it's been so much fun doing pet portraits. I feel like I'm really improving a lot, especially just because I'm doing it over and over again, and I'm kind of developing a good consistent style for at least this type of product. So I'm looking forward to being able to sell things or do these paintings maybe like every holiday season and have that be a good way to make a little bit of money. I'm really thankful that I've been able to make money from this also and make money for my art this year and have people be interested in purchasing my art. It's very validating and has been showing me that I do have a lot of things to do right now with my art. I have a lot of paintings to work on, but I'm so happy to be working on them that, whatever I end up doing in the future, it's just gotta, involve some sort of painting or some sort of creativity with it. It's such an important part of my life and it's so much fun to work on. So, I love art. But yes, that's been my little art update or kind of like business art update. Another thing is that we had a nice socially distanced trip to my grandparents' house this past weekend, and I got to take some pictures of my grandmother's amazing gardens. Again, I had an early episode of me drawing some from some photographs of my grandma's garden, and I made sure to really dive in and take a lot of photographs and also draw from life whenever I was there, when I was outside a bit. And the thing that I'm working on right now, it comes from her garden, this plant. I don't really know what plant it is. I need to look into that. But yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I am so unbelievably impressed with people who are able to just know about plants and have that be such a mindless thing for them to work on, or such an intuitive thing. Like, my grandma has a pretty decent sized yard that she's working with, because they live out kind of in the country, and she just has so many plants everywhere in different kind of environments. So whether that's, they have like a garden for some vegetables, and then they have some more shaded areas. She has her patio, things like that. And everything is like healthy and alive. And I think a lot of people don't realize, like, and I didn't for a long time, like, how much effort goes into that and how much knowledge has to go into managing so many different plants all year round. And anyway, I'm just so impressed by that. And I would really like to, like, I don't know, volunteer at the Wildflower Center or the Botanical Gardens in Austin, just because I would love to be able to add to that kind of knowledge that I have. I don't really have a lot of knowledge on it, but I'm definitely interested in plants, clearly. And I just think that's so cool. And I listened to a podcast from the Jealous Curator a while ago about an artist whose name is avoiding me right now. But she does art. It's like hanging dried flowers. It's kind of sculptural. And she talked about how she spent like several years working just a job at a florist. And she would be able to take home these flowers and dry them on her own. And that was how she sort of funded her projects in the future, but also like how she learned so much of like the scientific information about plants and botany. And anyway, I think that could be a cool thing to do, and I'd love to be able to volunteer in that sort of capacity. So hopefully I can do that and just learn more about plants this year. Bit of a tangent, but let's see, anything else? Yeah, I just love plants. And I love grandmas who know their gardening stuff. The last thing on my life update is that I filmed all of my YouTube videos for 2020. Just uploaded my last one today, which is so exciting. My goal this whole year was to really just post twice a week on my YouTube channel and do it consistently, and I haven't missed a day. And, I kind of finished the year my goal was like, okay, do it till the end of the year, and then you can reevaluate. And I'm like, okay, now I'm at the stage kind of reevaluating, like what I want to do, how often I want to post, and I think it's probably just going to stay the same next year. But anyway, that's another big milestone for me, so I'm very proud of that. But the next videos coming up are just kind of like going through all the books that I read in 2020, and also my New Year's resolutions for 2021. So, yes. So now on to something new I learned. Something I know but want to teach you this week is that if you want to identify a plant, you don't have to go buy an app or something like expensive or go through books. Here's what I do, and it's not 1,000% accurate, but it works. I take a good picture of the plant, and I especially include like any flowers or blooms of the plant. I include that in the picture. Next, you go to the Google Photos app and you click on the picture, and then you go to like the third button along the bottom, which is called, I think, lens is like the function of it, but it'll do like an image search, and you do that, you scroll down, and it should link you to a plant name and some info like the Wikipedia article and other similar photos. So even if it doesn't give you the right answer right away, it'll link you to other similar images of that plant where you can hopefully identify them. So this is my life hack. You should use it. I think it's a great tool to have. Now, for my book update, I finished Wildcard, which is the sequel to Warcross. It definitely wasn't as good as the first book, but I was really happy for the story to end and kind of to have closure and just see it through. Part of my issue with it, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing in books, but I couldn't ever really see where it was going, if that makes sense. Like, things just kept it felt like they were sort of being invented and to push the story along in the way that I'm sure the author had in mind, but given the information that we had previously, it was hard to really, as a reader, it was difficult to build kind of in my head, like a map of like what's happening. So I thought that was interesting, made me think a lot about that in terms of writing. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever write a book or something, but I love books, love reading. So that's my thoughts on that book. I definitely think you should read the Warcross series. Super good. Right now, I say that I'm working on How to Do Nothing. I've only read a few pages of it so far when I was on my bike a few days ago, and it's been a while just because I've been doing so much painting and spending my evenings doing paintings, because usually when I'm working on other things like job applications or YouTube things, I really can't do that beyond like 4 or 5 p.m. Then my brain just is like empty. But I can work on painting past that time. So I've been doing a little more painting in the evening. So I'm going to try and read tonight, hopefully. It's also hard with Vlogmas because there's so much content to watch on YouTube and I get so hooked into it. So anyway. I also bought a book about color per my professor's recommendation. The book is called Interaction of Color by Joseph Albers. I think it's a very important book. I'm pretty sure we learned about some of it when I was in Design 1, but yeah, I'm excited to learn more about color and maybe have it be less of a challenge in the future, at least just start working through it. And I appreciate the recommendation from my professor. They also sent me like 5 books and we have to ship them back to them. It's like I only ordered 1. I could donate these to my art department if you don't want them back, but I think we have to ship them back. So anyway, yes. So now to get into just kind of the specific episode topic, which is just kind of general art-related topics. I just wanted to talk about making 2021 an art-centered year. I specifically want to work on plants this year. I think it's about darn time for me to actually like center in on a subject. I can totally explore other things, but I think 2021 is the year of the plant. And it's something that I'm good at, something I'm attracted to and interested in, and I just like do these little explorations of them. They turn out pretty good, and then I just jump to the next thing, and I want to do this and that. And I don't think limiting myself to only drawing plants or sketching plants, thinking about plants is a bad thing. I also want to do more still lives as well, so it'll probably be a plants and still lives kind of situation. Because, it's a general category. It's not like I'm saying I can only draw like this one lamp for the next year. Like that's I'd probably be really good at drawing that lamp, but that's kind of the mindset I want to have for the general category of plants, and still lives are just fun for me. So maybe I can take time off from, I don't know, I haven't done a lot of stuff with the figure. Maybe take a break from some like architectural things. Those can just go on my to-do list for the next year, or just little explorations here and there, or maybe just little things in my sketchbook that I want to work on. But yes, it is going to be 2021 is going to have a lot of art in it and a lot of plants and still lives. One artist and kind of who has been inspiring me so much lately is Anna Valdez. I will definitely link her in the description of the podcast, but I went through 6 years of her Instagram to see how her work and process took shape. I was really thankful she had a long record of her, her studies and her work over the past several years that she didn't really delete or curate at all. So I really Love her work. It's a lot of still lives and a lot of plants. So if you can't tell what has been inspiring me a lot lately. But yeah, and I love how she handles color, and I would like to just see if, maybe I should spend some time studying her and her work and seeing how she puts things together, because she makes arts that I would love to make. And I think also looking at her art too made me realize too that I really need a studio. I'm working with what I have right now, and that's totally fine. This is working well, but the way she's able to like set up all these beautiful still lives and paint them is through, having that studio space and having these items and objects in her studio. And that's something I think I would really like to get a studio. Probably not. I don't know if it's in the cards for me next year, but in the next like 2 years, I think I talked about it in a past or maybe last week's episode. But that is something important to me at some point, or just having that dedicated space where it's just about my art and it's a lot of space. And I really miss having access to studios at school. That was such a blessing. And I spent a lot of time in those studios, but I wish I spent more time in those studios. But that's just how things went. But anyway, speaking of art school too, in 2020, I feel like I really broke free from being held back by some of like the ideas that I was restricted by in art school, or like who I am or what kind of art that I have to make. And I think that's been really clear that I've broken free from that, especially looking at my art from this time of year when I have just been doing everything. My Instagram does not have a consistent style, and that's totally fine. But yeah, I'm really proud of myself for kind of breaking free from that. Maybe I'll make a video about that in the future, but I feel like I'm free sort of, and I'm able to take on my own ideas next year. So I'm just so unbelievably excited for the amount of stuff that I'm going to get done next year and the work I'm going to make and how I'm going to grow. I'm also excited, and also, so I'm not, obviously I had a great time in my art classes and in my art degree. But I think it's something that everyone has to face after leaving a major like that, and leaving the structures and the assignments and things, and figuring out how you want to actually be an artist on your own. But yeah, in 2021, I'm also excited to see how my friends grow in their art. Some of the seniors that graduated with me this year. I don't know. I have seen I feel like in the past, there are a lot of art majors who don't go on to, stay artists. And that makes me very sad. Just coming out of my school, only like a few of them end up doing it. But maybe just given the circumstances of this year, I see so many of my friends who graduated with me actually pursuing their art. And I just think that's so amazing and special. And I just can't wait to see how everyone does in the next year and beyond. Let me see. What else do I have on here? Oh, yeah, I also wanted to talk about, since we're in the 30th episode and I can reflect on the Draw Pod, it's just been so important. This podcast has been so important for me to get me where I am now, and kind of breaking free from, some of the ideas I had about myself that I got from just being in school for the past however many years. Early on, it started out, I've talked about this before, but it started out as a way just to get more content up on my channel, an easy type of video to make. But over the past few months, I've also noticed that, one, I'm able to talk more comfortably in like a podcast format. That's been a really, really great addition to my skill set. But also that this was a way, after I was burnt out from art school, super sad about how my senior year ended up, and just trying to figure out what I need to do as an artist. And I know that I needed to make art because it's something I love to do and I'm good at and I'm passionate about. So I'm like, so this was a way for me to at least once a week get my butt up and just start painting something or drawing something or just doing one thing. There were weeks in the beginning when that was the one thing that I made that week. And because of that, I feel like that was kind of like I can't even think of a good metaphor for it, but it really like kept me above water, I guess, sort of, or I was able to hold on to it. And through that, I was able to hold on to my art and eventually gain the strength and inspiration to start making my own independent art and my pieces and exploring more things and not feeling like I need to just have an assignment to make art, which sounds silly, but I know that a lot of people deal with this as well. So yeah, that is kind of what I'm thinking about in terms of like art for this past year. I've grown so much and I'm so thankful for this podcast and for you guys listening. Thank you so much. I'm gonna head out, but yeah, make sure to leave a comment, or not a comment, make sure to leave a review if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, or like this video if you're listening on YouTube. Leave a comment, like this video, all that jazz. Again, I really appreciate you, your time, your focus, your ears. They're all great. You all have beautiful ears. So can't wait to make more art next year. We'll see if you'll see me next week for another episode of the Draw Pod, but if not, I will see you in 2021. And yeah, so again, thanks so much. I always spend too much time ending these podcasts, but I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.